Yes. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I hope you can hear me. I'm excited. Yes. I always use that word, I know, but it's true. And I always say it's true. I'm excited to be here. We've got a minute more. I try to come in usually a minute or two before so people can know that I'm online. So good day, everyone, wherever you are, all over the world. Hi, Felicia. Thanks for joining. Fantastic. Lovely to see you. Really excited. It's 8:30. How are you? I trust you're well. Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. I'm sitting very comfortably. I'm very happy. And I'm about to talk about something extremely important. Can you hear me, Felicia? That's very important. Tell me if you can hear me. Can you hear me loud and clear? That's important. Anyone on Instagram, let me know also if you can hear me loud and clear. Hi, Doja, long time. How are you? Lovely to see you. Hi, Noko. Hi, Noko. What's up, girl? Are you well? Please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Fantastic. I'm excited to be here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are all over the world. I know I changed the time, but I will tell you why I changed the time. But let's get right into it. My name is Bolanle Enang, and I am a family life enthusiast. I work with children, I work with teenagers, I work with people who work with children. And my greatest passion is to see families become the strongest version of themselves. And that is why I do Facebook Live, I do Instagram Live, and I come on from time to time. Actually, I've been on a break for about a month. Yes, I think it's a little over a month, maybe a month and a week. And this is our first one for the year 2019. And I'm coming with a big topic, yeah? Having courageous conversations with your team. So I'm very excited. Let me quickly say hi. Hi, Ronke. Hi, Sheil. Hi, Titi on Instagram. Lovely to see you. Hi, what is this? Madam Chopetta. Hi, thanks for joining. I'm excited. Let's dive in. So, have you ever wondered, how am I going to have so conversation with my son or my daughter who is now an adolescent? And you're thinking, this is a conversation that I'd rather not have. Those are the conversations I've tagged courageous conversations. Okay, that's what I've tagged courageous conversations. Thank you, Ronke. Thank you. Hi, Dayo. Lovely to see you. And Ronke and Dayo always share. So thanks, girls, for always sharing. Please, I'd like to ask everyone to please share if you can. Please do. It will just help us to get the word out there. Toyi, thanks for joining on Instagram. Lovely to see you. So I began to do some research, and I want to tell you, you will not believe the first fact I'm about to tell you. The origin of the word teen, it comes from an English old word called tiona, which means, get ready for this, shocker, injury, anger, and grief. Exactly. That's the origin of the word teenager. And I dare say that that's probably how some parents feel when you have your little one. It's like, no, hi, my boom, boom. And then the child becomes 10. You're like, okay, I can still handle this. Then they go to 11. You're like, okay, the hormones are coming in 12, 13, 14. You're like, I can't do this. Can somebody rent this teenager? I've come to talk to you today about how we can navigate that season of life with our teenagers. So, this is me, and welcome to Family Life Appetizer Workshop. Having courageous conversations with your teenager. Now, your question may be, which conversation, Bolanle, are you tagging as a courageous conversation? And I'll say to you that for me, a courageous conversation is that conversation or that talk that you dread having with your teenager. So for some parents, it could be something as trivial as sort out your room, clean up the mess after you, up onto sex, drugs, sexuality, their career, their interest in life. For some children, they have no interest, so you think. So I'm trying to say that for every parent, it differs. It's so different. A courageous conversation can be something trivial to another family, whereas for your family, it's like a very big deal. On that note, hi, Mr. Giwa from London. Thanks for joining. Wait, lovely to see you. All right. So how am I going to go about having a conversation that is difficult for me as a parent to have? And I think that for some parents, especially those who have teenagers, that's like your first teenage experience. You know, maybe this is your first child getting into the teenage world. Or like a mom I was speaking to today, she says to me, Bola, my firstborn, my son, skipped that phase of life. You know, there's some kids like that. I think I skipped it a bit. I think so. I'm not sure. Ask my dad. Whereas my daughter is going through the teenage life with a vengeance. So there's some kids who actually go from childhood, sort of navigate that space, no stress, no anger, no injury, no grief, and then they just flip onto adulthood. Even I'm not sure that that's something that is common today. However, there are kids who just fly into it and they're like, I'm going to be a teenager through and through. I'm going to cause grief, I'm going to cause injury, I'm going to cause pain. But is that really what teenage life is? I doubt it. But I think that the perception out there is that teenagers are difficult. Can I tell you, moms and dads, relax. Do you know what? Your teenager is navigating a phase in life where the privileges of childhood have ceased, but the freedom of adulthood has not yet kicked in. So it's almost like they're in limbo. Do you see what I'm saying? So the teenage life sometimes is as daunting for your child, for your teenager. And I still use the word child because sometimes they still want to have the privileges of childhood, whereas they want you to still give them the freedom of adulthood. And so it becomes like a push and pull. See what I'm saying? It's a push and pull, both from the parent's point of view and from the child. So I want to start by saying, parents, every child is different. Every teenager responds to things differently. The worst thing you can do for your teenager is to compare your teenage daughter or son to the other person, whether it's their sibling, their cousin, their neighbor. That's the worst thing you can do. Don't do it. So that's one. Two, I want to say to you that having courageous conversations actually starts from the skills that you have built for yourself from when that child was little. So I noticed that a lot of people do things like, stop asking questions. It's too much. Go to bed. Leave me alone. And what happens is your child shuts down. I want to encourage you, start the conversations from when the child is little, not when the child is now grown, then you're now like, let's talk. Well, there might be a breach of trust because your son or daughter doesn't know who you are. You've always said, keep quiet. You've always said, shut up. You've always said, no, you don't know what you're talking about, things like that. And so when they get to teenage life, they're thinking, who is this? Who am I talking to? However, there are different roles that parents play in the lives of their children. So when they're babies, they're completely dependent on you. So you are everything to them. As they begin to navigate, then you become sometimes a strict, firm, affirming but firm parent. And then you get to that point where actually your teenager you become a coach. You know, like how you have a life coach and a business coach, you become a coach to your teenager. And then only when they finish that phase and they're probably like in their very late teens or they're now like out of the teenage life and they're young adults, then you become their friend. I think one of the mistakes we make as parents is we want to become our children's friends before time. So remember, okay, let's think about a coach. On the basketball field, a coach tells you 10 laps, let's do this, but they're there with you, right? And then they talk to you, they counsel you, they're there with you, they help you with their training, right? They're not your friends, but they're not enemy because you're like on the same team. A teenager needs that coaching part of parenting in that phase of the adolescent world. Do you see what I'm saying? So what I want to say to you is, don't be afraid of your teenager. Don't say to me, Bolali, they're so moody. Do you know that your teenager sometimes doesn't even know what's going on in their bodies? Okay, so your child has gone from being this lanky, chubby, nice, freckled face, you know, little do. And then this child is suddenly has lost all the body, you know, fat. His limbs are growing. Sometimes he's excited. Sometimes he's tired. He's crying. She's moody. You're thinking, what's going on? That's the same thing your teenager is asking herself or himself. What's going on with me? You know, sometimes they're like, they've got energy and they're running. And there are times they're just like, oh, I can't do this. It's not them. Physiologically, the hormones are causing changes. Fatigue is not the same thing as laziness. So when you say my teenager has just become a potato couch, is just always tired, it's the body, it's changing. Do you see what I'm saying? It's changing. You need to be patient because sometimes that child doesn't even know what's going on. I call teenagers children. Okay. They're not children, but they still need that. So it's a push and pull between being looked at as children and being looked at as adults. Do you see what I'm saying? So I want to talk to you about trust. Trust is critical. Listen, if you get nothing from today, trust is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest keys. Okay? So having courageous conversations with your teenager and enabling your teenager see life in a rounded, in a holistic way. So he's asking, so Palale, what does trust have to do with this? Do you know that verbalizing to your teenager and saying, listen, I trust you, it means the world to your teenager. In fact, let's start this way. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about drugs. We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about what next for you. We're going to talk about your choice of subject at school. I remember as a teenager, my dad thought that I would have become a fantastic lawyer. And I'm going to share my story. And because I didn't want anybody to tell me what to do, because I was that kind of person, I was like nice, loving, amiable, but only now I realized I was a little bit stubborn, actually a lot headstrong. And I didn't want my dad to tell me what to do. That's how I saw it. My dad said, well, why don't you do law? Your literature is lit. Like, you are amazing with literature. You're great with languages. You're super with English and with literature. And you know, you converse well. You speak well. You articulate things. You're critical. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do law. And so I wanted to do medicine. And I wanted to become a pediatrician. Why? Because I wanted to work with children. But at that time in my life, I had failed physics. I wasn't great with physics, and I needed physics, chemistry, and biology to be able to go into the university to study medicine. But because I would have listened to my dad, but I didn't want to be told what to do. So I said no. I wrote that entrance exam 3 times. It was the first time in my life I would fail any exam. I'd never failed. Oh, it broke me. I almost went into depression. Hindsight, this is maybe like 22, 23 years later. I'm actually thinking maybe, just maybe, if my dad had sat me down and had a courageous conversation with me to say, Bolani, listen, this is what I think. What do you think? I think that this caused, you know, trusting that I can reason, trusting that I would listen to him, maybe I would have made a different choice. Maybe. And maybe not. And that's the point with parents. You need to get to that point, especially when they're like in their late teens, to say, we're going to have conversations about certain things, but can I shock you? The decision becomes theirs. So I went round and round. I did estate management. Now I'm about to start studying theology. But I've worked with children for the last 10 years, children and families. Taught in the school. I've done this, I've done that. And sometimes I think about when I say, Daniel, you know, sometimes I think that I should have listened to my dad. I would have made such a great lawyer. But maybe this is the path God wanted me to take. But the point is, I made my decision. But it was also but I was headstrong because I felt my dad was not necessarily listening to me. Now, this was my dad's way of communicating with me. But you know one good thing he did? He left me to make my decision. Today, I'm not one of the people who say, oh, I was forced to do this. No, I made my decision. Do you understand? I own my decision of the career path that I've taken. So parents, you need to realize that when you have a teenager on hand, you don't have a 7-year-old. You need to have conversations and not talks. You know the difference in talks and conversations? You are the lecturer in a talk. You are sitting down and you're saying, do, 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 do. And your teenager is like, if the well-behaved child, yes, mom, yes, dad. But what they're going to do is there in their heart. And they won't share with you. You know why? Because sometimes the talk does not allow for a two-way conversation. Start when they're younger. Start with you and your child sitting down on the bedtime, in the car. Forgive me. In the car, on the dining table. Remember, I like to talk to you about the power of the table. Yeah, the book I wrote. I've got fabulous reviews about this book. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's really been good. I'd encourage you to please buy this. It's on Amazon. You can buy the paperback and you can also buy the e-copy. It's a great book. In fact, in chapter 6 of this book, what I did here was to give you conversation starters. But before then, I wrote, bring the best of you back home. So a lot of parents want to give talks, especially when they are exhausted, they're tired, and they're reacting. You see, they're reacting to a situation. They're not proactive. It's your child has done something, you're screaming. Can I tell you something? Teenagers want to know how you feel about issues by your reaction. So your teenage daughter comes on and says something like, let's say, for example, you're a Christian or you're religious, and your child comes on and says, I'm an atheist. Okay, so they want to see whether you're going to go all dramatic and roll on the ground and start screaming, I've raised you in the way of the Lord. I've raised. I want to know whether you. When did you become an atheist? Okay, let's talk about atheism. How you open the ground for conversations. You shocked your teenager. I promise you. They want to know your limits. They want to know what they can actually share with you. Do you know that even with my 6-year-old son, he does it? There are things that at some point we realize he will share with mommy and not share with daddy. And maybe sometimes share with daddy. But one time daddy said to me, you know, your son will tell you everything. And I began to wonder why. I think it's because I learned early, don't be shocked. Don't act shocked and like, how can you even say that? Calm down, you are the parent. Never forget, it's a God. You know what, like I'm about to readjust yourself on the seat. You see that parenting is your God-given role. You are the parent. Your teenager is your child. So chill. Do you know what? Relax. They just sometimes want to shock you. So let's go back to trust. Trust is a two-way thing. If you're not modeling to your teenager that you trust them, you know what goes through a teenager's mind? It's fine. They don't trust me enough to make the right decision. Let me just make the bad one. So you approach your teenager this way. You say, you know what, Bolani, assuming your child's name is Bolani, that's a beautiful name. I'm kidding. I trust you enough to make the right choice on this matter. Or I trust you to tell me the truth on. Or I trust your judgment on so. So let's talk about it. Now, when we're talking about it, you're not giving the talk. You are listening. You are allowing your teenager to have a sense of being heard and being understood. You know, your aim as a parent is to actually get your teenager's true and sincere thoughts on an issue. You think they don't have thoughts on issues? They do. Your role, mom and dad, uncle, auntie, whoever, is to actually sit and say, what does this child think? What is going through this teenager's mind? That's very critical. Even you as an adult, you like to be heard, isn't it? It's the same for a teenager. Remember, it's a push and pull between the privileges of childhood and the freedom of adulthood. They're in limbo there. So give them some of that freedom and say, listen, I trust you. For example, you want to talk about their coffee or their bedtime. You can't just say to a teenager, let's say an 18-year-old, you'll be back in my house. Yes, that was done to us, I know. You'll be back in my house by maybe like 11 o'clock. Why? Because I said so. You know what will happen? When that teenager leaves your home, right? You've now given them the liberty to have the freedom of adults. Whereas sometimes they're not yet emotionally, psychologically fully prepared to dive into the freedom of adulthood in such a like boom boom. So that's what happens sometimes. Then teenagers just don't come back home. They go to varsity and then they don't come back home. And you're wondering, but I've loved this child. It's because you didn't allow that child to speak their mind. You didn't allow that child to say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Listen, it's dangerous out there, whatever your reasons are. Talk to your teenager like they've got brains, because they do. That's just the interesting thing. They have brains. So let me recommend 2 books for you. This. I've been reading it. In fact, today I was going through this for this workshop, and it's really opened my eyes to a lot of things, okay? So this is How to Grow a Connected Family with Contagious Love and Faith. So if you're a faith person, this would be very good for you. If you're not a faith person, you'd also learn quite. It's by James and Lynee Jackson, How to Grow a Connected Family. I do this because nobody has full monopoly of knowledge. Their books are work. This one is amazing. In fact, it's almost like a workbook. It also enables you to think through things for yourself. What's my prejudice? Where am I standing on? What's my mindset on a particular issue? It's such a great book. I strongly, highly recommend it. Please get it. If you can, it's a great book. Okay, How to Grow a Connected Family by James and Lynee Jackson. In fact, I quoted them, and this one helps you with conversation starters. In this book, I learned something about teach, an approach called teach, talk. Talk with your child, but make it a two-way conversation. Make it something that you both enjoy. Hear the other party. You see, when you give trust, when trust is earned, you as a parent must earn trust. So let's say you've made mistakes over time, you've done things, you're always shouting at your teenager, they're like, you know what, they begin to build resentment. So when they get into adulthood, they don't want to reckon with you, they don't want to listen to you because you've not allowed them grow in their walk with you. Okay, so I learned about teach. So T stands for teach, talking with your child, with your teenager, and E stands for exemplifying a good model. Can I tell you, teenagers need role models and get the world today. So, because we live in a global space, everybody on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, who is popular and a rave, is not necessarily the best role model for your child. You need to help your child know that you as the parent, you're on their side. You are still the primary educator of your child. For those who are faith people, you are the primary faith giver, faith nurturer of your child. Do you know what? A child picks up the behavior, the values. I always say values are caught, not taught, of the people around them. The closest people to children, to teenagers, are their parents. Hopefully you are. And if you're not, make it a point of duty today that I am going to make sure that I'm building relationship, a healthy relationship, a parent-child relationship that is healthy with my child, especially with my teenager. You need to leave the door open. When I do trainings for people who work with teenagers and with younger kids, I say, make sure the door, ensure that door is open. Your teenager needs you. Your teenager needs to be able to come home and know that I may be wrong, but I've got somebody who's got my back. Exemplify the right values that you want. You know, my 6-year-old says to me, Mommy, but you're shouting. I think he's like me. I don't like people, I don't appreciate being shouted at. He doesn't. I've realized that when I shout at him, he's confused. Why exactly are you shouting, Mommy? Okay? So exemplify the behaviors, your values. Be that parent that your child is proud of. You're not the parent who goes into road rage. And peradventure, you do have anger issues. I always say, get help. Apart from that, do you know it's okay to turn to your child and say, I made a mistake. I should never have acted that way. So exemplify the right, model the right values, the right behavior that you are asking of your child. You model it for your children. So that's TEA, affirm. It's not so fun. And then for the day. You say action. You did this. This you add on the reaction of other people or whoever was affected and tell them, well done. Simple. I think the way you helped in the kitchen today was just helped me to finish cooking quicker. And thank you for seeing that I was tired. Although I think your teenager should be helping in the kitchen, but you know what I mean. Call out the action. Mention how it affected positively the other person. Good job. Affirmation. You know what? Sometimes we look for only the wrong things. Look for the right thing. Look for that thing that your child does well. Even that child that is annoying, that is on a full hormonal blast irritation. As a parent, look out. Look out for the good stuff. That's very important. Sometimes we talk our kids down. They're like, oh, I can never do anything to please mommy and daddy. What's the point? Don't be that kind of parent. Okay. C. Create opportunities for them to have significance, for success, and to serve. Give them chores. I always say give them chores. Look at their gifts and their talents. See how it will help others. Which is the other one? Help. Enable your teenager. Use their gifts and their talents rightly. Okay. So this is what I've come to talk to you about today. Teenagers are not horrible. They feel misunderstood a lot of times. Build trust. Then be open. Can you do this? Be open. Be calm. Sometimes allow them to lead the conversation. That's one of the things I thank my dad for, honestly. I know everybody knows I talk about my daddy a lot, but he allowed us to speak our minds. Honestly, we did speak our minds. We said what we thought. And then if you had done something that that just aggravated him, he won't deal with you that day, which is worse. For parents, that's a good one. He'll sleep over it. And then the next morning, oh gosh, at morning prayer, you won't hear, you just hear it. In a calm manner. You don't want to hit your child when you're angry. You don't want to say damaging things when you're angry. Calm down. Take a break. Give yourself a timeout when you're upset about something that has happened. And allow your courageous conversation to be in a calm, productive, healthy manner. That's it. Can you believe 30 minutes is over? If you have any questions, it would be my absolute pleasure to answer. But this is what I've come to say to you tonight. Thank you, Josh, for joining. Thank you, Linda. Linda, I see you there. Thanks for joining. I saw somebody and I made a mental note to say thank you for joining. But thanks for coming online tonight, everyone. So be calm, be open. Allow your teenager to say what's on their mind, whilst you also say what you think. But in this age, right, they need guidance. So the coaching role really kicks in as a parent at this age. This is not what you when you beat a teenager, honestly. By the time they're like 10, 11, you really want to stop that. It's now you need to find other ways. Let me give you a quick one before I sign out. So an auntie of mine, actually I wrote about her in Power of the Table. She said to me, Bolandi, she has three sons. When I realized that I couldn't, I mean, my boys are now teenagers, I couldn't beat them. And my son, my firstborn had done something so. You know what I did? I said, you're big, right? You want to show me you're a big boy. So she made him carry weights. You know? She started adding more. The boy almost collapsed. Please, I'm not asking you to do it. But now she's not beating the boy. She's making it known that you're big, right? Okay, I can't beat you, I can't smack you. You like exercising and gymming. Let's carry the weight. Until the boy, mommy, please. Can we talk about this, mommy, please? Mom. So I just gave you a tip. I don't know if it will work for you, but it works for her. So that's it. Please share and watch the replay. Remember to stay calm. Remember not to just talk. Remember to have a conversation, which is a two-way thing with your teenager. Remember to set the ground rules and to have boundaries and make it clear. I always say where there is no law, there is no sin. Chatty mind, what did you ask me? Please ask that question again. So that's it. Be calm, be open. Allow your child know that whatever they do, you love them unconditionally. Love them. Teenagers still want you to hug them and tell them, I love you, mom. I love you. They also want to tell you they love you. Even if they don't say it, don't worry. When the teen life is over, they will come back. But make sure that whilst we're pushing and pulling, that's a word I use with a particular friend of mine, pushing and pulling, let them know that you love them unconditionally. Okay? And because I love you, I will have the conversations, I will have my discipline, I will have my rules. We can talk about it. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rufina, for joining. Thanks, GBK. Yay. Thanks, Femi, for joining. Amazing. Amazing. Oh, Chatterby said I didn't get the part of teach. Teach, according to this book, which I'd like everyone to please get if you can. Teach is T for talk, E for exemplify good model, right behavior to your children, yourself as a parent. A, affirm them. C, create opportunities for them for success, for significance, for service. And H, help. Okay, let them use their gifts and their talents to be able to help other people. That's it, teach. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right. I like to keep it sweet and short so that you can watch it at your leisure time. I will upload on YouTube. You can Google me on YouTube. It's Bolanle Enang. It was still on my Facebook page, Bolanle Daniel Enang. My husband is such a sweetheart. I had to put his name. I'm Daniel's wife. I'm kidding. And then yes, but that's why I have it as Bolanle Daniel Enang. And then on Instagram, I'm FamilyLife _ Bolanle Enang. Thank you everyone for joining tonight. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Chatty Mind. Thanks, Titi. Oh, did you know they still want the good night kisses? It's so true. Kiki. So I must tell you guys, a date with Kiki, please Google her on Facebook. She is doing a fantastic work with boys. She's based in the UK. Guys, what a lovely lady. Kiki is amazing. A date with Kiki. So that's like episodes she's doing on raising boys, okay? I'll keep you posted on it. But check out on Facebook, A Date with Kiki. She is amazing. All right, thanks everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Any other question? Can I sign out? I'll see you next week, Thursday. If this is a good time, 8:30 South African time, please let me know. If you rather I move it to say 9 o'clock, please let me know. Um, and finally, I picked this time because I feel that Sunday was becoming a bit of a hassle with my family. I wanted to also spend time with the kids on Sunday night and not always hurry out of every conversation and out of every visit. Like Polani has Facebook Live, so that's why I've moved it to a weeknight. I hope it works for you. Thanks, Rufina. Have a lovely evening. And remember, never ever forget two things. Families are to be enjoyed and not endured. I enjoyed my holiday with my family. It was fantastic. And the second and last thing I'd like to say to you, you are the best parent for your child and your teenager. When you put the right investment, they will thank you for it later on in life, whether they like it now or not. You're the best. You really are. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and see you next time. Goodbye. God bless you. Enjoy. Bye-bye. Yes, I'm ending.